Leonardo Watch, predictably yet again, is having another terrible day in Hell Salem's Lot. A lot of crazy things are going on in this week's episode of Blockade Battlefront and beyond. Leonardo is constantly dodging giant Godzilla-sized monsters while getting beaten up by goons who steal his wallet. We then get to see Chain Sumeragi drink these goons under the table. Stephen A. Starface is throwing one killer party, and Zapp Renfro is desperately looking for a cat, because if he doesn't find it, he is going to get his dick ripped off by a witch hooker. This was an insane episode right here. Very episodic and definitely an anthology-styled episode of Blockade Battlefront and beyond. And honestly, I really loved it. If it were up to me, every single episode would be like this one right here. Just complete, off-the-wall, ridiculous action starring these amazingly colorful characters in this amazingly colorful world. This was a great showcase for why this show is just so fun to watch. There's really nothing that deep here, but the visuals and the stories alone are definitely going to get you invested. So let's talk about each and every single one. So like I said, this is an anthology-style episode where there's a lot of different stories going on, and kind of like Pulp Fiction by the end of it, they all start to intersect with one another, and that's really cool. All the stories, while seemingly unrelated, eventually do connect. It kind of reminds me of that one Simpsons episode, which is called 22 Short Films About Springfield. I definitely get that vibe from this one right here. So, Leonardo's story starts out with all types of craziness, with this giant blue monster just ramming its way through Hell Salem's Lot and destroying everything in its friggin' path. And the reason this scene is so funny is how casual everybody is taking it. This is just another one of those random weird events that actually takes place in this weird area, and everybody sees it as sort of an opportunity to just bust out their cameras and take some cool pictures, while also trying to make sure they don't get killed by this giant creature. This is just the appetizer to Leonardo Watch's adventure, as eventually he gets taken up by these goons who beat the freaking crap out of him and steal his wallet. This scene is also really funny because while he's getting beaten up in an alley, you can see Chain Sumeragi, the super awesome ninja girl of the series, just jumping around through the city. She actually sees him there, in the alley, getting the crap beaten out of him, and then she just continues to go on her merry way. But eventually she does become a part of Leonardo's story, as most of this episode does revolve around him wanting to learn how to defend himself while not having to use his super-powered godly eyes. He ends up going to one of the other members of Libra and trying to get some cool weaponry, and while deciding not to get a giant destructive Men in Black looking gun, he decides to get a stun rod. He confronts these goons in a bar, and he doesn't really get to do too much. He basically gets his butt handed to him yet again because he realizes that maybe this guy might have a pacemaker. If I hit him with something electrical, it could potentially kill him, and Leonardo gets kicked out. But that's when Chain comes in and she challenges this goon to a drinking contest. And aside from being just incredibly sexy and awesome and super powerful, she can really hold her booze down, and she just makes this dude look like a freaking chump. As the episode goes on and intensifies, I love how they show them getting progressively drunker. Even Chain herself does start to loosen up a little bit towards the end, beginning to be very seductive at the beginning, and by the end, just having a lot of fun, goofy expressions. But these guys just get completely knocked out. They're boozed out of their minds. Chain takes the wallet back so that she can give it back to Leonardo, and the best thing possible is the payoff when they try to attack the bartender, and what might be one of the craziest scenes of the episode. Initially, these two goons are not actually from this area. They're just visiting for the overall thrill of it, and they're not really impressed at everything that they're seeing, but when they try to attack this bartender, this weird, like, force field just appears in front of him, and when his little buddy tries to, like, punch it and go for the bartender, his hand just gets completely sliced off, and it's bloody and ridiculous. And that's not even the gory highlight of the episode. Oh, there's so much more. And these two end up having to literally pay with their bodies to get out of this bar, where the only thing left of them is their head, and the rest of their body is contained within this like weird-looking, super futuristic mason jar filled with some crazy juice like the shit you'd see in Futurama. It's just nuts. And that's just one of the crazy stories of this week's episode, which is why I think this is probably one of my favorite episodes of the entire series. But let's not jump the gun quite yet. Let's move on to some of the other crazy stories of the episode. The other one that I really enjoyed was Stephen A. Starface's story, which is just probably the most grounded in terms of like trying to tell a story of what it's trying to do of the entire episode, and yet it still has a lot of great twists and turns. We get to see Stephen A. Starface when he's relaxing and not working with Libra and going home, and he's getting ready to throw this big swanky party for all of his friends that we've never even seen before, and he's really excited for it. There's a lot of gravitas behind it, and you're just waiting for this big epic party to like go off, but really all it is just an excuse for all of these assassins to come into his home and try to kill him. Now, the build-up to this is definitely the best part of this segment, especially how they build it up with the fact that Stephen A. Starface has a housemaid at his house who is so freaking adorable. She's like this weird, cute, giant, plump red alien who is also an amazing cook and prepared all the food for this party. And there's a halfway point in the episode where all of the guests start to arrive, and he sends his housemaid away, and there's this like weird feeling like something's not quite right here. Like there's a reason why he's shooing her out of here, and that's because something is about to get real. And after everybody starts partying for a little while, getting a little drunk, they realize they're running out of booze, and that's when he decides to leave. But as he's leaving, they suddenly reveal their true nature, and they all have these like giant organic transforming guns explode from their body. This is really creative and awesome because the only way that they could have pulled this off and using weapons against him to get into this building is if they had organic weapons. Apparently, they check you if you try to get into these buildings, and if you have anything like metallic or anything like that, you're not going up. So these people have like integrated their bodies with these like crazy weapons just so that they could sneak up, get this guy nice and drunk and try and kill him. But of course, Stephen A. Starface has solidified himself as maybe my favorite member of Libra in this episode when he utilizes this technique, which is so creative and freakingly just awesome badass. When everybody walks into the room for the very first time, he is able to use a blood ice technique, which uses these very small, tiny droplets of blood, which insert themselves into all of these people's body, and it literally freezes their entire nervous system from frickin' toe to head. It's just awesome. And that could have been just satisfying on its own, just to show, man, he can just do so much with ice-style techniques. No, he has his very own goon squad. That's right. He actually hires, like, this muscle group, his very own secret organization that even Libra doesn't deal with or know really anything about, and he has them take out the trash, so to speak. This was another great episode, which could have been an entire episode on its own, but was just as satisfying in the small amount of time that it was told in this one right here. And then, of course, there is the C story. The Zapp Renfro story, which of course takes place at Bonita Lunch, where he's hanging out with all the sexy ladies. And it looks like he just got done having a little fun with one of them until this one chick comes in demanding that Zapp finds her lost cat. And she gets into this argument with this other girl, and oh my god, I can't believe I'm about to talk about this ridiculous scene out loud because it's so freaking insane. This chick has, like, these magical abilities where she can put this, like, magical energy around something, constrict it, and basically make it squeeze and explode. And she does it to this other female by wrapping up her boobs and basically making them explode right on screen. It's shocking, it's off-putting, and somehow it works within the confines of this incredibly ridiculous series. And then things get really uncomfortable when she decides to use this magic on Zapp's dong. So, basically, if he doesn't go and find this cat for this crazy woman, his, schlong is going to be ripped off, for a lack of a better word. And watching him panic throughout the entire episode, trying to figure out where this thing is, getting attacked by giant, monstrous, weird, alter-world beasts, and howling at the moon, eventually finding Leonardo Watch, begging him to use his eyes, jumping on his moped as his head skids across the ground in the final scene of the episode. It's just a thing of beauty. Really, this entire episode is. So, what's the rundown on this week's episode of Blockade Battlefront? In the grand scheme of things, this episode probably won't matter that much. But as far as entertainment value goes, visuals, overall style, I got a lot of enjoyment out of this episode, more so than a lot of the anime that I've been watching recently. I was able to just kick back, put my legs up, and watch something that completely blew my mind. All of its creativity, and I love that it involved so many different characters, and a lot of them that don't get that much screen time. Like Chain Sumeragi in this episode. She was just so freaking funny, especially how she started out as such a Sexy seductress. Holy crap, she was making me hot under the collar. But as she kept drinking, she got more adorable and funny, and made it clear that she was just going to completely destroy this guy in this drinking game. It was a really great moment, especially because it was just sort of one of those instant karma kind of things. You really wanted Leonardo to get his watch back, and it was great that after snubbing him at the beginning of the episode, she was able to help the kid out. I was expecting this episode to be a little more heavy-handed, especially how it opened with Leonardo Watch reminiscing a little bit more about his sister, very similar to the scenes that we saw from the first season, but it immediately deviated from that when we're treated to this giant monster plowing through a city. It's these little unpredictable moments that always make the show really fun to watch and just always a real pleasant surprise. Stephen A. Starface's story, like I said, felt the most traditional of the actual segments, but like still, I think it was really the glue that held everything together, especially how it actually escalated, starting out so pleasant and then progressively getting darker as it went on. It was just a really nice surprise and had a very good ending that makes me hope to see more of his goon squad in the future, and Zapp Renfro is just always fun. I mean, he might as well be the mascot of the series for all the crazy adventures that he always goes on, and all the situations that leave him with possibly, like, losing his life or maybe another more important limb. It's always really funny, and we don't even know if he gets out of this situation at all, either. That's the funny thing. The episode just sort of abruptly ends with you laughing as you watch, wondering what the hell's going to happen to him. There's also a really funny post-credit scene with Chain, you know, proving that, yeah, she can drink, but no human can really consume that much alcohol with at least throwing it up a little, and she's basically praying to the porcelain god at the end of the episode. It's a really funny moment, it grounds it all, and it makes this one of the most memorable episodes of the entire series. Everything worked here, and you guys need to check it out. I loved this episode right here. It's a 5 out of 5 from me. I can't endorse it enough. Watch it for yourself. If any of you did watch the episode, make sure to tell me what you thought about it in the comments section below. What story was your favorite in this week's Anthology-styled episode? Did you have any favorite moments, funny moments, moments that you thought were weird, creepy, gory, nasty? Tell me all your thoughts in the comments section below and what you hope to see from the rest of this very crazy season of Blockade Battlefront and beyond. Thank you guys for watching this review. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for more anime manga reviews. Make sure to like the video. I'd really appreciate it. I'll see you guys next time. And as always, stay down there, baby.